Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Some of you may have seen me make this sawtill. I did a video on it. I invite you to go look it up. This was an idea that I borrowed from a display that I saw for a store where they were displaying distant hand saws. And it was just a series of hooks that went into the pegboard. It's got a board with a hole drilled in it here so that I can set the end of the pegboard hook into it, come up into another hole along the top. There's 3 in this one. And it worked. Worked pretty good actually. But I went too far. This is just too much weight for a pegboard. I can put almost 25 saws on here, and that's too many. 25 saws at a pound a piece. Pegboard just can't hold it. I decided I needed a new sawtill. Partly because I decided to do a saw sharpening demonstration down at Burgess Antiques in Galesburg, Michigan. It went pretty well because I took a pretty much classic design and just made it. With the success of the sawtill that I made for over the top of the woodworking bench, I decided to make a working sawtill for over here on this bench. This is where I do most of my sharpening. This is the metal workbench, if you want to call it anything. And I'm going to get rid of this one and put up a 2-foot wide sawtill that won't hold 25 saws. I don't need to have 25 saws up here. I should be moving them out more quickly than that. Finding someone who wants to have a saw after you put the time into it, that's difficult. I value my time, and I don't want to detract from other people who do spend a great deal of time doing good job on sharpening saws by diluting the market by saying, hey, here, I'll give you this saw. It's just not what I'm about. There's a lot of people that spend a lot of time learning, and I think they should be supported. So I'm going to make a sawtill so that I can go through, sharpen up 20 or so saws, and then start moving them out of the system. I'll either find somebody to take them or donate them to charity or do something with them, but they've got to go. I'm not a saw collector, never have been, don't want to be. So for this morning's project, I've laid out this board. Now this is a recycled old chunk of pine that was a shelf here at the house. And sitting in the corner, it's not doing anybody any good. As a sawtill, at least it's going to serve a useful purpose. I've got it laid out. I'm going to go through and I'm going to rough cut it. Then I'll set it up and plane it, and then we'll go from there. Don't know if you saw that fall off, but that's the reason that I'm taking off both ends of the board. The ends tend to check and split much more often than the center of the board. So by cutting off those split and checked ends, I save myself a lot of work later trying to fix them. And that's part of the operation of setting up a job, is figuring out where exactly you're going to cut. This bit here gets cut off, so there's no point ripping any further down this just to make a point on it. That's just laying out a place where I'm going to put the screws in to hold the two pieces together while I do the rest of the work. Just like I did on the last one. I'm going to use screws to hold it together. The idea being, I can keep everything in alignment. That way, as I'm planing on it and working on it, I'll be able to hold it exactly the same position without having to worry about things getting knocked out of alignment or trying to match one piece to the other. All I got to do is just plane them. Put a little pilot screw hole in here because I don't want to have this. This is pine, and it has a tendency when it gets older to become brittle. And brittle pine tends to snap. And I don't really want to have any more pieces break off of this than I have to. One of the biggest mistakes I see people doing is they release this driver and let it just run out to the end and just smack into things. There's an internal stop here. If you constantly drive this under spring force out, it's going to damage that. And it really does no good to the screwdriver to damage it. Every time you use it, put a little oil on it. Doesn't take much, just a little. That means next time you go to use it, it's going to be in good working order. To release the bit, you pull down on this collar and pull out on the bit. To insert the bit, you do the reverse. But you need to turn it. See that step? If you don't engage that step, then the bit spins in the driver and you're starting to think there's something wrong. Well, there is. You did it wrong. you pull this back, it really moves that spring from the keeper and lets the bit come free. Now I like using a Yankee screwdriver. I've used Yankee screwdrivers for a number of years, and they perform a function just excellent. Now, I've heard complaints about having to work with a long handle. Well, you don't have to. You can buy the longer ones if you're driving large screws. This is a number 130A. You can use a longer Yankee screwdriver for screws that have a lot of thread on them. The longer the shank is, the more turns the bit makes as you push it. But it's not necessary to use a long shank screwdriver on everything. This is just a little 1 1/4 inch screw. And it works quite well. If you hold on to the rotating collar, you can hold that bit very nice. Now the big complaint that I saw was using it with a straight bit. Okay, it's not the best for straight bits. Well, that's enough for right now. I got other things I got to take care of, but I'll be back on this job. If you have any Well, I haven't got the desk cleaned up, but I did manage to get the workshop clean. At least most of the stuff is put away where I can find it, and at least it's reasonably straight. Working on a saw till so I can get the pile of saws up off the floor. That'll be a big improvement in my eyes anyways. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments below. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.